So from the latest things I heard over the internet, Lloyd's of London was actually arguing over the value of the crown from the 2009. Did you bring it? No, because you were so worried about the value of it because it wasn't insured.
Lloyd's wouldn't let you move it out of here.
No, no.
Of the 2009 poetry performance.
It may be in my email box as we speak, but I did not receive
It's still in the safety deposit box at the bank, right?
Exactly, because this man is so worth it. He's a phenomenal reader. He's a phenomenal writer, and I'm so looking forward to this feature. So anybody's interested, chaoticcards.org/lovecafe. You can get info about podcasts and YouTube clips. Please, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Wade Allen Jones!
Thank you. As part of my exercise program, I brought 2 NPR shopping bags. One has books by other people, and the other one has my books, and they're over there, and they're available for sale. But I know that that's just an exercise program because, I brought new copies of the Polyrhythmic Anthology to their last show at Trace, which was their 10th anniversary show. They hadn't had a fresh copy to sell for like a couple of years. Oh, by the way, they still owe me $600.
Oh my God.
And I sold exactly 0.
Oh.
So I'm into an exercise program. I figured that's what publishing is all about. It's physical exercise. You lift things and you move them around. Hey! Anyway, moving right along to the poetry part.
Moving past the
Yes.
That's the money stuff.
Yes. I really like this poem a lot, though I thought I'd read it. And it's based on things that are actually more or less, well, the main thing is true. I take to be true because what? I found it on the internet. But I could not find confirmation of the other 2 important parts. But we'll discuss that later. Anyway, this is called Check Your Guns at the Door. I mean, this maybe is following on with the Janet's little,
part of the poetry wheel.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. It's a wheelie kind of thing. The setting is the 19th century in the West. In Frisco, after Perry's black ships returned from Japan, theater people whispered about real death on stage, how no actors coddled for a year would play one last role, give all to art, and be killed before the denouement. On the road, west of the Mississippi, young Occidental actors had their moments on stage, spent most of their time traveling, taking their scenery from one dance hall to another, bouncing on trails by day, drinking by night, hoping for gratis hay for the horses, taking turns guarding spare wheels, extra steel rims, axles, and harnesses hanging on the back, keeping cloth scenery from falling off when ropes frayed. In town, they drink with ranch hands and derelicts, hillbilly ditch diggers, clerks from the dry goods, bankers, stable boys, undertakers, and lawyers. Sometimes teachers would sit near the wall, drink tea, and hope for talk about the plays, to ask if they ever did Shakespeare, Richard III, Henry V, Hamlet. The 2 actresses sat in the hotel lobby, knowing to steer clear of the saloon. Alone at night in their cups, they talk about who'd risk playing the villain. They'd roll dice, cut cards, or throw darts to see who would have to be the dastardly devil, who'd run the risk of getting shot by some outraged simpleton still carrying a derringer after checking his Colt at the door. They never heard of anyone who'd been shot, but they knew someone would be the first. They talk about Big Nose George, the robber who joined the James gang, shot a deputy, got caught, confessed, and was lynched, finding no refuge in honesty, but lasting fame. His skull, a doorstop for the territory's first lady doctor. His skin tanned and turned into two-tone saddle shoes by another surgeon who became third governor of the state and wore his big nose shoes to his inauguration. They knew that among such people, the racks of holsters and gun belts were small comfort at best. On their knees, they prayed to be panned in the papers. A recent offering and short, I know how shocking that is for those of you who followed my career in Chicago, but it is filled with many layers to make up for it. As in the title, taking a flower from the garden. An awkward hand grasps a stem between thumb and first two fingers. The second two stay close to the palm, but push away with the tug. The stalk may snap at the last leaf node, but its line will never flow again over that scissored crease where rigid cellulose crumples, unintended, between ring and middle finger, moving unconsciously at odds on every level. The gentle velvet petals blush plump until they brown. And if you can guess the origin of the phrase gentle velvet, then you get the poem. Some of you have heard this before, but here it goes. Revelation. When the room is heavy with might be, and no one knows what they will see, the light slows and turns to dust. Everyone feels the slightest touch, even the tiny incandescent crash of light lumps. The rhythm of their patter on skin does a metaphor morph. The cool percussion of soft shoe logic stealing back the truth from the say it to make it so money, talking as deftly as the DJ spouting liners, trying to hit the post of an ever-receding intro chord because some muscle has a 45 in his ear promising a report at the first tick of dead air when might be turns to should have been. When main stage windows look out to the beach, where real sun bounces on real shoreline, ticket holders see everything before the pain as in the way of light, cut out of flat black, misplaced from off right to the apron standing in front of the footlights. Poor players feel the panic of not knowing the play, waking on the boards, never having seen a script, distracted by regret for bypassing wardrobe, standing naked in public for the first time, befuddled when no one blinks at their privates, when they hit every cue with jabber fruit that blends precisely, and when the audience thins, reminded of pending appointments with their doctors. How clear can the view be from a hermit's sage's perch? Ice and snowfields in the foreground, boulders and scree in the anaerobic middle, followed by receding into the misty distance by scrubs and treetops blocking the leas in openings where fairies dance. We see them because their unchanging view blurs and ceases its distraction. From here, they can see within. They become where they look, facing mirrors with shrinking lightnesses curving into infinite shadow. We seek what would save us, and we hear the simple and obvious, being unique, you are the one, the best and only you. You do the inevitable. Your gift is to feel how you make it unfold. Thank you. Oh, I'm so sorry Buddha's not here, because this is one of those ones that would make him think.
But he could always listen to the podcast.
He could. He could do that. Look it up. Hopefully it'll be worthwhile. This is called false color, which of course is an astronomy term, because when the data comes in from the various satellites that are only there for certain kinds of spectrum, pieces of the spectrum, they assign colors to differentiate from one thing to the other. So this is called false color. Stop counting when you know that the difference between one answer and the next starts to converge or to balloon. Write how long it took and move on. When you finish trying all your Y's with every X you could find, go back and give each pair's number a color. Any shade of gray or any arc within the rainbow spread. Stand back. Put this picture in perspective and marvel at its beauty. This landscape of your knowing at each doorway, what road lay beyond, smooth and clear or rocky and twisted, garden or waste, mana or poison fruit, love or fear, joy or despair, meaning or emptiness, life or death. No house window shows you this map of your choosing, or how this pattern unfolds the same no matter how closely you look. No sign that everywhere you find yourself. Also the procedure for how fractal are rendered as these incredible pictures that they generate when you do the math and you assign false colors. This one is an internal persona poem based on some things I heard about how women who choose to wear the burqa do it kind of freely within the context of their own culture, called burqa. Within this cloth, I find myself. Here, I relax in safety. Here, I do not deny myself. But I deny myself to others who say they need this veil. A dungeon wall to control me, to keep me from tempting them. They know they cannot work or fight with blindfolds and manacles. They mistake their lack of will and strength of desire for my allure, a beauty they must ravish that makes them beasts. They paint me with their eyes, making gaudy the gift that God gives, that I did not seek and cannot refuse. And they are dangerous. They make rules to keep me modest, and when their weakness is exposed, they wreak a vengeance as terrible as their wills are shriveled like raisins. Where is the woman judging them, condemning them to offer up a hand to the sword of a female avenger? What woman pulls a trigger or holds a match to their pyre? Here, I am content in my own tent on a desert dune, making this space my palace. I breathe at my own command. My heart sets the beat. My mind sings the melody that makes God weep. And he watches the dervish dance of my pure soul, and no one, not even another woman, knows how freely I use myself to make this beauty in his praise the sign of my peace. Among the poems that are occasioned, as we say, by photographs, there was, on some random place, a photograph of 3 potted trees on a patio that was recently the subject of a winter storm. Winter is here. 3 archangels the size of conifers stand watch on the patio, conical, green, pointed heads peering which ways their single legs, weekending in a winter spa, deep in concrete, boots up to knees in soil. They sing an ambient drone, a light breeze through stubby needles, a short branch brushing a sandy beach smooth, snow rolling, leaping up into a mare's tail wisp at Hillock's Ridge. I have heard this song ringing in Voyager's ear, bending past the truculent face of Jupiter, that thundering gas-bag king of planets and gods who ignores his acolyte moons and hums softly, sweetly. Against a uniform grave just beyond the railing, in this wall-less room filled with a stilled cloud, these beings stand as bailiffs, stiff, starched, unbowing to hidden sweat and souls growing numb. They too feel this, the weight between verdict and sentence, as blindfolding, as slathering salve on soft bandage, as smiling, pretending to know how sense will be served or how to staunch the bleeding before turning pale. I should shovel this snow before it turns ice. I could listen to the fir sound so close I'd hear the wind's flute playing from the bronze throat of the gods loan to leaders of legions marching to their death, the rush of bats' wings exiting from desert caverns, the anther-fueled anthem of one-minded bees who tirelessly give their all to fanning the hive. I could say that this calm chorus voices nature's heart rather than fall for the soft and dying complaint the obligatory Joffrey Stewart warning, 2 poems left. The Broken Palm. Sorry, that's not even right. The Broken Pawn. In this dream, after seeing the woman who wants out waiting for lotion to smooth the crusty rash response to a new cheap soap, I walk into a gymnasium the size of Cobo Hall, that convention arena set up with rows of folding tables where the seminar for poets is winding up with a group exercise. I last saw these tables in magazine photographs of design school graduates making exotic hats of wire screens, alley stuff, and industrial punch-outs, a high-fashion sweatshop with hardwood floors. One by one down the rows, each writer speaks a line. I guess they are reading from the newspaper each has. I have a seat and a tabloid, open pages from the back and find nothing but small print ads with no pictures. My turn is coming. I ask a friend in the next row for his paper, asking where we are in the poem. He runs his fingers down a column of want ads in the used cars section. A found poem, an oddly exquisite corpse assembled en masse, impromptu, from the sound of force-jointed lines, even beautiful if indistinct in the hall's reverberation. My turn is coming. I scan the column, but from where I stand the type is too small. Might as well be written in Farsi, Klingon, Yautja, or Mayan. Just as my turn is coming, I see a photo of a green tricycle tricked out as a World I motorbike made with wood slats. My friend reaches into the now diorama and turns over a gym shoe the same color as the bike, muddy, empty. The child is missing. In turn, second speaker from the last, I say, and there, in the junkyard, I find the child's toy trike ginned up as a war machine, abandoned in the mud, its headlight obscuring a child's red sneaker. I wonder at my color shift as the last speaker comes down the aisle with a slender glass of transparent fluid swirling inside, a large vortex bubble spinning just above the joint of stem and bowl. Locking eyes with the leader, this little man wraps his hands around the glass with the misdirection of a magician and says, having heard all these works, I see nothing worth saving. From the debris in this scrap heap, the pawn is so broken, the game is over for good. We must discard the board, and the players of every stripe turn away and begin again. He opens his hands, and the 4 jagged pieces of the pawn fall to the floor, the only sound in the silence of the hall. And the ultimate, as opposed to the penultimate. Nothing is sacred. If God is everywhere, as he must be to be God, then nothing is sacred, because nothing is not sacred. We will no longer talk of the divine. It too has gone hiding in the open. We will come to see how blind we are when we spend eternity naming things, thinking then we know them, thinking what is how and why, especially why, when, as always, every new is as old as the light reflected from an angle we just now find where we had always been but never noticed. We cannot tell if these shredded sunsets are ugly or pass for buttes. Standing beside this cove, we cannot see whether storm or zephyrs will make this backside desert bloom or wash it to the sea. After colored, razored, and feathered night takes out the light, mocks belief, and we stumble until we learn from bats so blind they scream. We cannot love what we hate or hate the loving. We cannot need what we want or want the needing. Entering and being entered gets us nowhere because we are everywhere anyway. Inside and outside immolate, monks in the plaza, and when with abandon we cry out our isolation, we show the city, countryside, world, and universe in our mouths, and the verse, chorus, lullaby, and ululation in the rhythm and melody of our song. We will know that we are the bread and the wine, the mother, father, and child, sage and fool, prophet and idiot, the profane and the sacred, the great I am, the one, and we will know thus that we are nothing but that we are.
Because I don't think it was loud enough. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up one more time for Wayne Allen Jones. He stands there at the mic and he's like, I'm bashful, I want to leave. And after hearing a phenomenal feature from him and finding a note in my thing of an open micer this evening to Mr. Helgeson, that was a phenomenal reading. After hearing all these wonderful things tonight, I have to say, I haven't done the appropriate toting for my magazines. I run Scars Publications, scars.tv. If you go to Cafe Scars.tv, that is an email address. If you would like to send poetry submissions to CC&D Magazine at Scars.tv, you can always bug me at those addresses, and I would love to be able to get email submissions because you would appear in future issues, and I would make you read them, and then you would appear in future issues, and you'd be awesome.
Yes, because I'm going to have one.
You're going to be in October, my lady. Yeah, it's like, you're accepted for it. Yes, yeah. And you've got this cool photo on the second page of your thing from the Galapagos Silence, and why am I talking? Oh, well, we'll get to talk about the beauty of your issue later on. So yeah, you could appear in a future print issue of CC&D Magazine, you'd appear online, and you'd be online all over the place if you were so interested. But thank you so much for coming out here. Now I want to talk about features that are coming up. Now next week, I haven't had a chance to be able to tell this appropriately, but next week, because people are talking about them, and actually heard on the news that because of our new mayor, and it was so incredibly hot that they had to close the beach down this weekend.
Really?
Yes, it was too hot.
At the beach?
They had to close the beach
What kind of
because
voices are we breathing?
no, it was because it was so hot and the ambulances couldn't get there to be able to help people. But it just made me think of Kathleen. How do you close down the beach? And guess what? Who is our feature for next week? Kathleen Schandelmeyer is our feature for next week, so you better show up for that one. And we've got a bunch of cool features coming up in June. And I have to say, after Kathleen, on June 14th, which is, the Tuesday before Flag Day, like you people care, is there is no feature scheduled. And because I noticed this from last time, we had mini feature night, and I think people really like that.
Yeah.
Mini feature night, you can have an evening to be able to do your own thing and take your own time. June 14th, 614 is what the date is for that, but then on June 7th, 60607 is Kathleen Schannemeyer's feature. But the week after that is the open, currently, unless somebody says, I want a feature, I want a feature, I don't want a feature. It might be taken, but otherwise it's an open night for...
I really enjoyed that the last time.
I know, people really, so we can do that again, that's not a problem. And we've got a triad of people that are coming from New Mexico.
Really?
And June 21st, the day before my birthday, just
Are
Zachary.
you June 21st birthday?
I'm a June 22nd, the day after the summer solstice.
You're...
And the 622 on the day. Why do you care? Well, yeah. But anyway, there's a train of people coming from New Mexico, which would be a really cool show of people coming up. And Lucia Blend is coming up at the end of June, and I'm tired of talking about all these features because I just want you to be able to get some cool air because it's really warm in here. So everybody, you gotta show